May 13th, 1985 stands out as one of the darkest days in Philadelphia history. It is the day that a conflict between neighbors in the Cobbs Creek section of West Philadelphia and members of a described back to nature black liberation group known as MOVE clashed. The confrontation and conflict coming to a head, boiling over the city long accused of just sitting on its hands and allowing things to flare out of control. A tactical plan that was devised to address the situation lacked serious coordination with experts in lots of police and law enforcement approaches and other textbook matters of how to handle the dismantling of conflict. That the situation that then unfolded on this date 40 years ago was a disaster in the making, and the scars run so deep that there are people in that West Philadelphia neighborhood who will tell you today that they have still not processed what happened on May 13th, 1985 in the city of Philadelphia, the state of Pennsylvania, in the United States. It all started years prior with this ongoing feud between the Philadelphia police, the Philadelphia government under a different mayor than what happened in 1985, and MOVE. It was in the Powelton Village section of the city. A police officer had been shot and killed. People went to jail. Blame was passed around, and both sides took issue at the unfolding narratives that were coming from the opposite side. This feud then lasted for several years, again, coming to a disastrous head on May 13th, 1985. For hours, police were trying to get the occupants of the MOVE compound at 6221 Osage Avenue to come out. Police had search warrants in hand, and those folks inside the MOVE compound were unwilling to leave. Police, with the assistance of the Philadelphia Fire Department, then trained water cannons on the building and fired off that water for hours, trying to dismantle what was a wooden structure atop the building that MOVE had designed. Now, MOVE and its reputation in that neighborhood was not a good one. They were seen to be, in the words of some politicians, an almost terrorist group that had taken siege of the neighborhood, using bullhorns and loudspeakers to blast messages of anti-government and other anti-establishment themes. So when in the early hours of May 13th, the city decided that it was time to call a halt to all of this, they were highly criticized for continuing to move forward with the plan despite knowing that there were children still inside 6221 Osage Avenue. Some of the MOVE Commission report that I've pulled from the official records here and that I can share with you details an exact timeline of how things unfolded, where things went wrong, and why it seems the wrong people were in the highest places of government at this time and making and calling all of the wrong shots. The chronology, hard to see because of the light, but it goes line by line, moment by moment on that day of May 13th. And there are a couple of summaries, findings, and conclusions into where things got mixed up, and that is putting it politely. Mayor Wilson Goode, his policy towards MOVE for months on end was one of appeasement, non-confrontation, and avoidance. The managing director and the city's department heads failed to take any effective action on their own. In fact, ordered their subordinates to refrain from taking action to deal meaningfully with the problem on Osage Avenue. So you had all of this buildup of tension and frustration, and the neighborhood was not taking it any longer. They were furious. There were matters and decisions made by the highest members of the Philadelphia Police Department, who then leaned on lower ranking officials to call specific shots as it related to the dropping of an explosive device onto the roof of 6221 Osage Avenue that effectively leveled the top of that residence and then resulted in a fire that burned without fire department attention for well more than an hour. And that fire was then allowed to spread to neighboring residences. All told, 61 homes were leveled, 11 people were killed, 5 of them children. We spoke to Mike Africa Jr., who he says by the grace of God, his grandmother removed him from 6221 a short time before things became extremely dangerous there, and he credits her with saving his life. And he says that he knew the people who remained in there and who are now among the dead from that day 40 years ago. So Mike Africa has his thoughts on how things unfolded, what the city has, in his words, not gotten right.
To be honest with you, and I don't know if this is possible, I'm not sure I have fully processed it. You know, I see the children's faces and other people that I know can't possibly be true. I hear their voices at night. I remember them. And there's a big part of me that still lives in disbelief. There should be a historical marker that says the names and the ages of the people, you know, that died here. And that's the thing that like really gets me the most. We have the historical marker here placed by the Jubilee school kids, but I think it would be really important for people to know at this location the names of the people and honor them in a way that remembers them and their loss.
We also heard from former Mayor Wilson Good. He apologized again for what unfolded that day, said that he had commanders at the scene who answered to him, so subordinates, telling him to stay away because there was an alleged threat to the mayor's life, and that he should stay at City Hall and manage the crisis and unfolding disaster from there. Here's what he had to say about the events as they unfolded.
I think that the dropping of the debate price was bad, but I think that the worst part of it was letting the fire burn when they knew that there were children in the house and that there were other people in the house. I think that letting that happen was something that was not at all proper, and I regret that it happened on my watch.
We also heard from Lynn Washington. He is a journalism professor at Temple University. He is also an expert on things dealing with relationships and negotiations between MOVE and the city, and he's watched this unfold for years now. And he explained that the city has largely closed the chapter on MOVE almost from the end of that day in 1985, and has not done right by, so many who lived in that Cobbs Creek neighborhood.
The lesson is that when issues come up, when problems are there, we have to address them because they're not going to go away. And we really need to deal with these systemic inequities that we have.
Just last week, City Council passed a resolution once again making May 13th, it's 2025, but the events of May 13th, 1985, worth memorializing. Their resolution remembers the lives lost. That was once again passed by City Council just last week in a meeting that was held on Thursday. Some say that the city has for too long done too little, and it is too late, they say. Mike Africa Jr. also calling for the school district of Philadelphia to include in the history of the city of Philadelphia this date and time of May 13th and the events that unfolded on that day in May. The school district did not get back to us for comment about our question. Is that under consideration? We also reached out to Mayor Sherelle Parker. Her spokesperson declined to comment for this report.